let's take a look at number 2 in section 1.1. On October 31st, Betty and Paul filled their 250-gallon oil tank for their heater. Beginning in November, they use an average of 10 gallons of oil per week. And so we first want to fill out this table. And so after 0 weeks, they're going to have 250 gallons. No time has passed. But as time passes and they use up some of their oil, the A values should get smaller. Okay, so how are they going to change? Well, after 4 weeks, they would have used up 40 gallons, 4 times 10, of oil, and so they would have 210 gallons remaining. After 8 weeks, they would have used up 40 more. If you take a look at these are consistent between the difference in the number of weeks. And so 170. And then same thing, you can kind of just continue in the same manner. 130 and then 90. Next, in part B, we want to write an equation that expresses the amount of oil A in the tank in terms of the number of weeks W since October 31st. So they started with 250 gallons. The amount of oil was decreasing by 10 gallons per week, and so that would be 10W. So altogether, 250 minus 10W. In part C, we're asked to graph the equation on the grid, and if you recognize that it's a line that it'll form, you just need 2 points. Make sure that your line passes through a couple of the points from your table. And so my first point, the y-intercept, was 0,250. And the last point in my table was 16,90. I just want to make sure that my line passes through those 2 points. Okay, so it could look something like this. In part D, how much did the amount of fuel in the tank decrease between the 3rd and the 8th week? You could do a couple of things. One is to find A of 3. Okay, calculate the amount remaining, and then A of 8, which we may already have from our table earlier, and then just subtract. So find the difference between them. Another option is we know that the difference per week is 10 gallons, and so you could just count how many weeks are in between here. So again, subtract, and we get 5 weeks, and every week was 10 gallons consumed, and so 5 times 10, or 50 gallons. Okay, in part E, during which weeks will the tank contain more than 175 gallons of fuel? We could write an inequality and say 250 minus 10W. Okay, so that's the amount of fuel altogether, A. We want to know when that is greater than 175. So we can solve this inequality by hand. Okay, so first subtract 250 from each side, and we get negative 10. W is greater than negative 75. And then divide both sides by negative 10. Now, for the most part, when you're solving a linear inequality like this one, the steps are the same as solving a linear equation. There is one stipulation, which is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality symbol flips. Okay, so we're going to make this, instead of a greater than, now it's going to be a less than. Now you divide, and so that's 7.5. Okay, they're going to have you round this number up. When the number of weeks is less than 8, Okay, we can also check our graph to see if this answer makes sense. Okay, so on the graph, I find where 175 would be on the a-axis, and look at that point of intersection. Okay, so this region is the region we're concerned about when the amount remaining is greater than 175 gallons, and so that's above this horizontal line. And so that would be when the number of weeks is less than this value. Okay, but again, round, and we get the number of weeks is less than 8.